Hi. Before you watch this video, I just need to apologize real quick for the camera quality. My webcam built into my laptop isn't exactly very good. And I don't have the money for a webcam right now. Neither do I have the time to go buy one. So, nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hi, my name's Liam. In this video, I'm going to be explaining the differences and similarities of Romeo and Juliet 1968 and Romeo and Juliet 2013. 1968's version was directed by Franco Zeffirelli, and 2013's version was directed by Carlo Carli. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I butchered it. Um, uh, Basically, this video is going to contain massive spoilers for both the movies and the Romeo and Juliet story as a whole. But considering how well known the Romeo and Juliet story is in general, it's probably likely that you already know the story and what happens throughout it. So I'm just going to get on with the video. Oh yeah, by the way, when I'm explaining similarities between the movies, my lights will be blue. When I'm explaining differences, they will be red. Okay, got it? Sounds good. This video is going to be split into two parts. Part one is going to be explaining the background of both movies, and the second part is going to be actually comparing the movies with three different scenes. Like, they're all the same scene in the story, but they're different because they're from different movies, and we're going to be comparing them to see the differences between the movies themselves. Alright, so now first off we're going to talk about the 1968 version. The 1968 version was directed by Franco Zeffirelli. It cast Olivia Hussey as Juliet and Leonard Whiting as Romeo. I hope I pronounced that alright. Its runtime is around 2 hours and 18 minutes, including credits. The estimated budget was $850,000, which is a lot of money. Its ratings are pretty good, with a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb and a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Both Hussey and Whiting won Golden Globes for their performances. I kind of agree with the Golden Globes. They did a pretty good job performing. Now to talk about the 2013 version. The 2013 version of the movie was directed by Carlo Carli. It cast Hailey Steinfeld as Juliet and Douglas Booth as Romeo. Its runtime is 1 hour and 58 minutes, including credits. With my research, I wasn't able to find the estimated budget of the movie, but its overall revenue, I found out, was $3 million. So I don't know if that actually made profit or not, considering that most people already knew the story. Yeah. The 2013 version, it doesn't have very good ratings compared to the 1968 version. While the 1968 version has a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb, the 2013 version has a 5.8 out of 10, which is significantly lower. If you think that's bad, though, you should see the Rotten Tomatoes review. It legitimately had a 23% on Rotten Tomatoes when I looked it up. That is an awful rating, dude, for such a high-end movie. It's crazy. None of the actors or actresses were nominated for or won any awards for their performances in the movie. Now, with all that being said, you may be thinking, well, Liam, it sounds like the 2013 version is a bad movie. Despite its age, the 1968 version is overall a better movie in my opinion, of course. But that doesn't mean the 2013 version is really bad. It's still a decent movie. For example, the 2013 version has more access to better props, costumes, special effects, set pieces, and video quality. I mean, they wouldn't be really using special effects considering it's not really that kind of movie, but nonetheless, it has access to them. This allows it to look much more realistic and just look better in general. In that aspect, the 2013 version is in fact superior to the 1968. However, the 2013 version has much lower ratings than the 1968 version. For example, the Rotten Tomatoes consensus says this: Shakespeare's classic romance gets a so-so adaptation that's short on passion and energy. I already said this, but the rating is 23% compared to the 1968 version's 95, which is a very, very large gap. The 2013 movie does in fact use the plot of the original play, just like the 1968 version does, but it doesn't seem to use many of the same lines as the play itself. Plot-wise, the two movies are in fact extremely similar. They both share the same plot with the original play with not too many changes. The way the story goes is like this. Keep in mind this is where the heavy spoilers come in. The Prince of the town Verona, which is where the story takes place, it's the setting of the story, says that if there's another fight between the Capulet family and the Montag family, whoever is involved shall die. The Capulets and the Montags, I think I'm pronouncing them right, are two groups in Verona that have very large conflict with each other, or beef with each other. They really don't like each other. Romeo, who is a Montag, is sad about his girlfriend and becoming a nun. So he goes to a party, meets Juliet, who, by the way, is a Capulet, and they fall in love instantly. Juliet, however, is supposed to be married to a guy named Paris soon. She doesn't really want that either. Romeo and Juliet secretly get married and the day after they meet. Tybalt, who is Juliet's cousin, kills Romeo's friend, Mercutio, despite Romeo's attempts to stop the fight. Romeo, who's pretty angry by now, kills Tybalt. Unfortunately, Romeo is exiled by the prince because of the fight. And Juliet is pretty not happy about that. With some unfortunate timing, Juliet is told while she is still crying about Romeo being exiled that she shall be married to Paris on Thursday, which I think is like 2 or 3 days from that day. Yeah, I think it's like 2 days from then. Juliet talks to Friar Lawrence, who is the guy that married Romeo and Juliet, about it, and he comes with a plan to fake her death and then get her to Romeo. Romeo's servant tells him that Juliet is dead before Friar Lawrence can actually inform him of the plan. Romeo buys poison from an apothecary and goes to the place where Juliet's body is being held. Paris, the dude who was supposed to marry Juliet, thinks he's a burglar or a robber, so he attacks Romeo. Romeo kills Paris, and he still thinks Juliet is dead, so he drinks the poison and dies. Juliet wakes up, sees Romeo dead, and is kind of unhappy, and stabs herself and dies. Due to this, the Capulets and Montags stop fighting, and yeah, that's the end of the story. So, not a very happy story, unfortunately. But that isn't really the point of the video that we're making right now. The 1968 and 2013 versions themselves, despite sharing the same plot, have quite a few differences. For example, Juliet looks older and more mature in the 2013 version than in the 1968 version. She kind of looks like barely a teenager in the 1968 version. Romeo also looks older in the 2013 version than in the 1968 version. In the 2013 version, for some odd reason, Tybalt is in love with Juliet. I don't know why, but it's part of the story, I guess. This is just my opinion as well, but the 1968 version's music is worse than the 2013's. Might just be my taste in music, I don't know. 1968 version also is a bit longer than the 2013 version. It also has more bizarre costumes, and 2013 version has much more simple costumes. Also, for some reason, the 2013 version starts with a joust instead of a fight. So, if it isn't Alright, now that we've talked about the differences, now we can actually talk about the similarities that these movies have. If it isn't already obvious, the movies share the same exact characters as well as the same plot with a few changes, of course. Most similarities within the movies are in the plot. For example, Mercutio dies of Tybalt in both movies. The nurse in both movies is unsure about Juliet's love for Romeo at first, as well as seeming like they care more about Juliet than Juliet's mother herself. Hi there! Now that we've actually explained the backgrounds of the two movies themselves, let's actually do the comparison, shall we? First off, we're going to be doing the balcony scene. Also, I have the two videos I will use for the comparison in the description of this video. I'm not going to actually insert them into this video because I feel like it would be too boring for you, the viewer. So I'm just going to expect that you've watched those two videos, and if you haven't, well, click on them, like open a new tab with the link, well, both the links, watch them, and then come back, alright? Welcome back. Okay, let's start. First off, the costumes in the 1968 version are much more weird looking. They're much more bizarre, like I've already explained in this video. They look a lot like the kind of stuff you'd see more like circus performers wearing. And the 2013 version has much more simple costumes compared to the 1968 version, which I think does look and work better for the movie. Romeo, in both movies, is just kind of staring at Juliet from out of her sight while she talks to herself, which kind of sounds creepy now that you think about it, but then again, there were different like social norms back then. The 1968 version does in fact seem much more interested in Juliet than the 2013 version, and feels much more authentic. The setting and for the 2013 and the 1968 versions are quite different. The 2013 version looks kind of like a bleak castle with not much to it, while the 1968 version looks like a fancy palace that also has like a small forest in it, in like the backyard. Well, not a forest, just a ton of plants and greenery. However, 2013 version does have better lighting. When it comes to music and line delivery, it's quite different when it comes to the music. When it comes to the 2013 versions, it seems to have multiple instruments playing in the music, including a piano and a violin, while the 1968 version only seems to have a violin. The line delivery, however, in the 1968 version seems to be much more enthusiastic, like I've said in the past. It actually seems like the actor is Romeo looking upon the person he loves. However, in the 2013 version, it seems low energy, like the actor didn't have enough passion and wasn't trying as hard as he could have. It sounds like he's trying to sound interested, ends up just sounding fake, uninterested, and forced. Juliet's characterization was pretty good. She was played pretty well in both movies, although my personal opinion is that the 1968 Juliet was in fact played better. Juliet, just like Romeo, sounds much more authentic and interested in the 1968 version. She seems much less skeptical of Romeo's love in the 2013 version, as in the 1968 version she seems skeptical of Romeo being quite quick to fall in love with her. The 2013 version, she says that she is skeptical, but doesn't actually sound skeptical. Alright, now that we've actually explained the first scene, let's explain the second scene. Again, the links to the videos I have used will be in the description of the video. I want you to click on the links, watch them, then come back to this video, alright? Now that you're back and you've watched the video, watch the videos, let's compare them, shall we? For costumes, they seem much more complex and fancy, while the 1968 version seems more like the kind of thing you'd actually fight someone in. Plain white shirts. Would you wear your most expensive clothes to a fight to the death? I don't think you would. With the Romeo characterization, Romeo seems super angry that Mercutio was killed in the 1968. However, in the 2013 version, he seems super level-headed and calm. It doesn't exactly seem like the kind of way someone would act towards someone who literally just killed one of their friends. When it comes to Juliet characterization, she did not appear in this scene, so I can't really do that one. With dialogue, the 1968 version, just like the last scene, had Romeo sounding much more authentic, while the 2013 version sounded less authentic, and he sounded not really like you would sound if your friend just got murdered in front of you. Tybalt, however, acts pretty cocky in both versions. As for the setting, The 1968 version has a fight that takes place in the middle of the town. It seems dusty, old, and seems like the kind of place you would probably fight someone in. In the 2013 version, though, the fight takes place in a place I don't really know how to describe, so I'll just put a picture of it up on screen right now. However, it takes place indoors, while the 1968 version takes place outside. The music in the 2013 version is dramatic, and that's the kind of thing you would expect to hear in a dramatic scene. There's no music in the 1968 version, though. There's just a lot of yelling. What surprised me in the 2013 version, as I've already stated, is that he just seemed super calm. He doesn't even look angry. Like, of course he looks somewhat miffed, but he's not even that mad. It's just like he stepped on a Lego or something, like, again? No, it doesn't seem like the kind of way you would react to seeing one of your best friends killed in front of you. Alright, now for the final scene comparison. The Romeo and Juliet ending scene, the death scene. Now, once again, I will have expected you to watch the videos for the scenes. Just come back when you have, and when you have, just unpause this video. Alright. So, with the costumes, the 1968 version, again, like last time, are less complicated and much more simple. While the 2013 version has more complicated and fancy things. It's not the kind of thing I think you would wear to a grave, but I don't know, man. I haven't been to a grave before. In both movies, Romeo seems very, very sad and wants to die. However, in the 2013 version, and not the 1968 version, as soon as Romeo drinks the poison, Juliet wakes up, and he sees that she woke up. So he basically knows that he killed himself for nothing. Poor guy. I feel kind of bad for him. For the Juliet characterization, like for both movies as well, Romeo wakes up to learn that Romeo is dead. Well, by seeing him. She's extremely sad and kills herself with his dagger. There is not really much of a difference between the characterization of Juliet between the two movies. The lines themselves and dialogue are quite similar, although using different words. However, the 1968 version has the characters speaking much quieter, while the 2013 version has the characters speaking at like a normal volume you'd hear someone talking at. The setting for both of those scenes is quite similar. The walls are nearly the same color, and the areas themselves that the scenes take place in are very similar looking. Again, I will place a picture of both of the settings up on screen right now. The music is also quite similar here. It sounds dramatic and exactly what you would expect in such a scene. Both use normal instruments that you would expect to hear, as well as a choir. Alright, it's the end of the video. I really appreciate you watching, and hi Miss Bateman, again. If you enjoyed, maybe like the video, maybe subscribe, I don't know. Maybe give me a good grade, Miss Bateman. Just kidding. But, yeah. I really hope you enjoyed, and by the end of this, we know that pretty much most of the similarities and differences between the two movies. And yeah, just decide for yourself which one's better. I can't really tell you which one is objectively better, because it's an opinion-based thing. Have a great rest of your day.